Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to another episode of me on Touchline. This is the pre-game week show for game week 27. I'm recording this actually on the back of game week 26, the post-game week show for game week 26. Reason being, this week the games are going to be on Wednesday, so I have to record this as soon as possible, get them edited out to you on I'll get this out on Tuesday, probably Tuesday night maybe. I mean, the game's on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, depending where you stay, so I need to get the video out before then. But I mean, it's all about predictions. This one, we'll try to be as quick as possible when it comes to zooming through the predictions. But yeah, drop a like on the video, guys. I'm enjoying this series, and of course, subscribe if you're new around here. Get discussing in the comments down below how you guys think Game Week 27 will pan out. But yeah, let's jump right in. I think there's no need to talk about the table at this point. I mean, as you can see, Liverpool going to win the league, so they're going to get relegated. I think you're going to hear this phrase quite a bit already. Again, where it remains extremely tight is from Nottingham Forest all the way down to Brighton. I think that can still change anywhere, really. Who's going to finish in the top 10, that can still change probably. Even if you look at Tottenham to West Ham, that little place there, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, anyone could finish in those places between those five teams. All you just need to do is crumble. So one team is crumble, the other team rises, and things can change again, the outlook. Relegation-wise, Leicester, Ipswich and Wolves are still on this little mini hunt of who's going to survive. Obviously, at this point, Wolves obviously do look like the more likely team. But regardless, it can still change because all Leicester and Ipswich need to do is just win their games for the rest of the season. And they obviously do stand a chance compared to Wolverhampton Wanderers, but that's for the table, really. Nothing too much. As for these statistics, of course, Mo Salah is playing in the Premier League right now, 41 goal contributions in 27 Premier League games. It's ridiculous if you ask me. He's been impeccable this season. Obviously, Isak has scored many goals as well this season. Haaland on 19 goals as well. Would have thought say the same because they've not played the game since I've recorded the post-game week show for Game 26. As for the assists, hopefully, Damsgaard and Son continue to get more assists because they've been pretty good this season in general. I think Son as of late as well, his performances have been pretty decent. Obviously, his 2 assists to Brennan Johnson, that has obviously contributed to that as well. Right, so here are the predictions, or rather, sorry, here are the games for this week, for this particular game week. Brighton, Bournemouth, Palace, Villa, Wolves, Fulham, Chelsea, Southampton, Brentford, Everton, Tottenham, Man City, Man United, Ipswich, Nottingham Forest, Arsenal, Liverpool, Newcastle, and West Ham, Leicester City. To be honest, when I was looking at these games earlier on, just now before recording, they look very hard to predict, to be honest. And honestly, for the first time ever, I felt 10 games, all 10 games go any way. It doesn't feel like it's, as in, I usually think of probability when I predict games, right? But I felt for this one, it looks difficult to predict, but still got to predict nonetheless, and I'll try to, less this time around because I just want to get the results over the line. But yeah, let's jump right in. So starting things off with Brighton Bournemouth. Now, obviously both teams, very interesting form as always. I think the inconsistency has always been impacting teams left, right and centre. And if you look at Bournemouth, obviously the defeat against Wolves is probably going to hamper them, and with the red card that I can't remember his name, starts with a Z, Zarbian. I'm not even going to say it, but that player with the red card, obviously huge loss, right, for Bournemouth. Ultimately, when you need as many players as you can because the players are still injured, they're still going through an injury crisis, to be honest. As for Brighton, I mean, they're still doing reasonably well in the league. It's going to be very interesting, I think, for this one. Despite being in the Amex Stadium, I think anything could happen. Bournemouth have proven that regardless of where you're at, we can still probably try to kill you. They've shown it, or they could also lose games sometimes. How do I think this game will go? In my opinion, I think Bournemouth are going to win this one. Reason just because of the fact that they still can have the upper hand in games, and I just choose to believe in Bournemouth more than I believe in Brighton. But it could be a draw, to be honest. I mean, that could happen as well. If it does, then I think it will be a very interesting result as well, because that probably suggests the game is probably rather tight, probably. But on the onset, I still believe Bournemouth still have the upper hand over Brighton. They should be winning this one. Yeah, just a prediction anyways, right? It's hard to predict already, isn't it? Right, Palace and Villa. This one, again, I think slightly more straightforward, this one. But we know what Palace can do sometimes, right? We know that Palace, they can bite you when you least expect it. As for Villa, if the strikers don't score, if Ollie Watkins doesn't score, if Daniel Marlon doesn't score, it could still be trouble. It could sound trouble. But where am I leaning towards for this one? Is it Dibu Martinez masterclass? Is it Anything else? Honestly, I'm leaning towards Asensio and Rashford again. I feel like this partnership could still happen. They could still go crazy and they could still, deliver as a duo. For Palace, maybe Villa might just be a little bit too much for them, but they can probably still score goals, in my opinion. 3-1 for me for this one. I feel that, yes, to a certain extent, Palace can threaten Villa. But at the same time, I feel that, you've got to have a little bit more faith in Aston Villa sometimes, despite, again, inconsistency happening too much from them. But I feel probably Villa probably might stand a better chance of winning this one than Palace. I just have a little bit more faith, I guess. Yeah. This one, yeah, because on paper, even in the league table, Palace probably don't really deserve to win, or rather, they don't really stand a chance to win. But as I said, because of how they can surprise teams, that's why I've given the benefit of the doubt. But regardless, I still believe in Villa. 3-1 for me. Right, Wolves and Fulham. Now, this one, again, will be very, very interesting considering Wolves on the back of a win and they're playing the Molineux again. Not the easiest ground to play at. I think Craven Cottage is probably equal to that, and now both teams are going to face against each other. This one again, you would really want Fulham to win. I don't think you want Fulham to win. I think you would expect Fulham to win, considering the form or the bad form that Wolves have been having. And I think just in general, Fulham just have the upper hand in a lot of aspects. What do I think about this one? Yeah, 2-1 win for Fulham for me. I think it's going to be difficult to break down the Wolves' defence because I think they're playing at home, and I think Wolves, to a certain extent, they can be pretty tight in the defence. They can really just try not to concede many goals. Much less leaky than Leicester City, of course. But regardless, I think for this one, I think Fulham, again, just the upper hand, honestly, to be honest. And I think the quality as well that Fulham possess and the strategy, the tactics that Marcus Silva chooses to put in, I think it's probably sufficient enough to beat Wolves. I'm sure Wolves will have their chances. I think Cunha, you must understand, right? I think Cunha, at the bare minimum, should leave Wolves next year. He's a good player that is just not a Wolves kind of player. He should be, in probably Newcastle. To be honest, I think him and Joe Linton at Newcastle might work extremely well. I don't know. I mean, despite I don't care about the Brazilian connection. I'm talking about their style of play because Joe Linton is just a very versatile player, and then you've got you've got Cunha, who can really just pop shots from the edge of the box. I think if you have both of them, it could be quite deadly moving forward. But I don't know. He might not go. I mean, he might still continue to stay. I mean, providing Wolves stay, I think he might stay as well. But regardless, I think 2-1 win for me for this one. I just believe that they should be winning. Yeah, I just don't see Wolves really troubling them too much. But of course, 2-1 is an arguably tight result. So I guess if you want to feel that way, then yeah, so be it. Right, Chelsea, Southampton. Surely Chelsea have got to win, right? Nah, I predict Southampton to win. Of course, why wouldn't I? Anyways, 3-1 win for me for this one. Rationale is very simple. Southampton clearly not going to possess any threat to a large extent. To be honest, that's been the story of the season for them. And as for Chelsea, I mean, the expectation for Chelsea to just get the result over the line is going to be a lot higher than expected now. You've just got to do it. Like, honestly, guys, come on. You've got to be better than this. And we know that they're better than that. So, yeah, my take on that is pretty simple moving forward. It should be a 3-1 easy dub for Chelsea. No questions asked. This is their time to really, really be a lot more comfortable in the game, grow into the game itself, get the result over the line, and be a lot more dominant. And at least have a taste of what it feels like to be dominant again in games, because otherwise, they're going to struggle again, which is really not good for Chelsea considering how good of a season they've had relatively up to December. For Southampton, I'm sure the miseries are going to continue to be compounded, but again, I'm sure they've given up at this point. Just go to the Championship, pack your bags, as I've said, prepare for the Championship, focus on the experience you can get from the Premier League. For the players who may not have that much Premier League experience, bring that to the Championship, smack the guys out of the park, and come back in 2 years' time stronger. That's my take on that. But ultimately, Chelsea have got to win, because if they don't, no comments. Yeah. Right, Brentford and Everton. I think this should be relatively tight. Again, I think Brentford in the reverse fixture, they did win Everton by a goal to nil, and I think it was quite a tight line as well that Everton were playing. I think Pickford was saving Brentford. Pickford was really saving Everton a lot of times in that game. For this one, I think it's going to be the same, to be honest. Brentford's home stadium, I can't remember the name. I don't even want to remember. But it sounds very techie. But anyways, still, it's a tough place to play as far as I'm concerned. And Everton, I'm sure they will try their best to break them down. And I'm sure Moyes would not really want to change much from what he's seeing. I'm sure it's still pretty good as it stands. I just feel that, he should still be quite pleased with what he's seeing with Everton thus far. But again, that draw against Manchester United is arguably disappointing considering that they probably should have won that game in general. But it is what it is. How do I feel this one is going to go? 1-1 draw for me. I just think that it's going to be tighter than it looks. And I'm sure, both teams are probably going to be struggling to break down a lot of times. I think there might just be a lot of possession changes. But in terms of chance creations, I think it's going to be quite minimal. And it's just like, when you be like, the defense just starts to sleep a little, that's when you can probably try to push a little bit more. But otherwise, I'm quite certain it's going to be really, really difficult for both teams to actually be as threatening as they have always been. Or no, at least for Brentford, Everton have not always been threatening. But, I just think that the threat that both teams are going to throw at each other, I just don't think it's going to be huge. I just don't think it's going to be massive. I mean, they can try, but I think it's going to be very difficult to knock down either side. Right, Tottenham and Man City. This one, obviously, Tottenham smashed City 4 goals to the good last time out, and the Etihad. Yeah, this one, after the defeat against Liverpool as well, how do I feel this game's going to go? This is when I have a little bit of faith in Man City again. I just feel that, maybe Marmoush might just do something again. I feel like at this point, we're relying on Marmoush a lot more now after the hat-trick against Newcastle. But because of if you look at the form book, anyways, it's like a win and a loss and a win and a loss. We beat Newcastle, we lost to Liverpool. We should be winning this one, shouldn't we? We'll see what happens with this one. I just think that maybe City, to a certain extent, should have the upper hand over Ipswich, over Tottenham. And I just think Tottenham maybe, because they aren't at their best at the moment for sure. And despite City not being at their best, I'm sure sometimes they still be able to deliver something, or at least I hope they can deliver something. Yeah, but I think they can try. It's just a prediction again, and I just think that maybe City might win this one. Might lose another game, to be honest, and that would really dampen our top 4 hopes. We could drop to 5th after this game week, which is crazy. 5th, 6th, 7th. It's still possible for us, which I don't want, obviously, if I can. I mean, preferably Champions League football is the bare minimum that we should be attaining now, or it's the one that we should really have to settle for. Title's obviously out of reach. 2nd place looks also relatively hard to get by. 3rd, I think it really depends on how Nottingham Forest performs over the next couple of games. But yeah, for me, 2-1 win for Man City. Faith is with them. We'll see what happens. Right, Man United Ipswich. Now, again, with Amarin's form, I just don't think it's going to be relatively straightforward. I'm sure every Manchester United fan coming to each game, I'm sure there's a high level of anxiety, high level of apprehension. You just don't know what you're going to get, right? Sometimes, you'd be like, oh my God, we've got a draw. Sometimes, oh my God, we've got a win. But most times this season thus far, it has been defeat after defeat after defeat. Very, very silly. Players just not performing up to standard. Work rate is relatively low. I can understand, those Manchester United fans, when they see the team performing like that, it's very, very disappointing to watch, considering how prestigious and how established and how, they've been such a renowned club in general, and to see them performing like that, it feels as if it's almost like a fall from grace to a certain extent. But regardless, for me, how do I see this game going? I think it's going to be a thriller. It's going to be 3-2 win to Ipswich Town. This is a completely, a random result that I've just decided to put down. This one's like one of those games that I feel that we could be treated, but we may not be treated. Honestly, Man United should be winning this one against Ipswich, to be honest with you. But who knows, right? Manchester United have been culprits, or rather they've been guinea pigs when it comes to crazy results for Premier League seasons. But at least so far, these couple of seasons in. But regardless, my faith in Ipswich is a little bit high. So I'm predicting them to win. Again, they may not win, of course, and I don't think they should be winning, because despite how bad Man United are, I just think the quality-wise, Ipswich probably doesn't really match that. But who knows? Right, who knows? It might just be a 1-0 win for Ipswich by the end of this. I don't know. We'll see how. Alrighty, Nottingham and Arsenal. Third versus second. Huge game, obviously. Nothing much to really point out, except I don't know where this game's going to go. Just don't. Both teams at the back of defeats. Obviously, again, on paper, Arsenal are a lot stronger than Nottingham Forest. They should be winning. But again, Arsenal, they may not do it, almost as if they're crumbling under pressure again. I think that little urgency of them to know that they should be winning games to try to close the gap to Liverpool is so crucial. They've just crumbled again against West Ham. I just don't exactly know how they're going to come into this game with high level of confidence and say that they're probably going to get the win. For Nottingham Forest, it's the same thing. I mean, as of late, as I said, the results aren't going their way. They're creating chances, but clearly not enough to win games. And it's going to be a sign of worry. How do I think this game is going to pan out? I've chosen to put Nottingham Forest win for this one. And I just don't know how Arsenal are going to go into this game, how Arteta's going to take this game in. Don't know. I just don't. And that's the problem with this game week, hasn't it? Like, a lot of the games here, I just don't know how it's going to pan out. It honestly will depend on how they perform in the game itself. I mean, Nottingham Forest could have red card in like the 5th minute, and that sets Arsenal, help Arsenal to win the game because it's pretty much put on a silver platter. One man down, they can make use of that and probably still get the result over the line, Arsenal. But what if it's the other way around? If Arsenal get another red card and then Nottingham Forest don't capitalise on that, and the result could be very much different as well. This one is a very tight game. It's going to be very, very interesting, I'm sure. I'm sure Nottingham Forest fans, Arsenal fans will be very excited for this matchup, or maybe quite scared and worried as well. But for me, I'm excited to know what the result is and to see which team performs better that night. Simply because I just don't know, to be honest. But I think Nottingham Forest might win just because how Arsenal have always been very good bottlers. I don't know for this one. Yeah, but on paper, Arsenal should be winning. Right, Liverpool. Right, Liverpool, Arsenal. Right, Liverpool, Newcastle. It's a prelude, to be honest, to the EFL Cup final. And obviously in the Premier League, the reverse fixture, we were treated. I think it was like a 4-4 draw, if I remember correctly. Crazy, crazy game. And to be honest, I think Newcastle, when they played against Liverpool that game, they were really, really good. I think they came back as well. I think from like 4-2 to 4-4. I think so. I can't fully remember. But regardless, it's a crazy, crazy game. Maybe if I got the score wrong, to be honest, but still a crazy, crazy game. It's a prelude, anyways, to the FA Cup final. Both teams are probably going to really go head to head for this one, I'm sure. Liverpool will still want to continue to extend their gap, or at least maintain that gap at the top of the table. Newcastle want to see themselves break into the top 4. How do I think this game will pan out? I think it's going to be another thriller. I'll put in 3-3, which I think is not too bad of a result, considering Liverpool can still afford to drop points now. It's not like they drop points now and they're going to lose the title. It's not like when Man City's catching you, then yes, probably you shouldn't drop points. But it's Arsenal. I'm sorry. It's just the nature of that. And Arsenal's just not trained enough, really, to tackle such a problem. But yeah, for me at least, I believe that it should be a thriller for this one. 3-3 draw, I think it's a crazy result for a lot of the fans to digest. And I'm sure it'd be very, very hectic as well at Anfield. But otherwise, because being at Anfield, as I said, there could still be a chance that Liverpool could win this very, very comfortably. Liverpool's home run has been fantastic this season as well, which is a worrying sign for Newcastle. But again, they've just got to keep their head down, Newcastle, and just keep trying their best and see what they can do to get the result over the line. It's possible, honestly. Yeah, we'll see how for this one. I'm also looking forward to this one. I think we are genuinely treated quite a lot this weekend, this game week at least. Tottenham City, Nottingham, Arsenal, and then Liverpool, Newcastle. 3 really good matches to watch, to be honest. Right, last one. Leicester City, last one. Last one, West Ham and Leicester City. Obviously, I think the reverse fixture was the first match that Root took in charge of West Ham, and he did beat them 3-1. And West Ham, I think that game we registered like 30 plus shots and we just couldn't score. Only scored 1, so I can't believe we didn't win that game. Just ridiculous anyways from the boys. But ever since then, obviously Leicester's form has been crumbling. Game after game after game after game after game. Even scoring goals have been proven very, very difficult for them. How do I think this game will pan out? 2-0 win for West Ham for me. I have faith in my boys. But at the same time, the reason is because both teams are genuinely struggling to score goals in general. And so because of that, scoreline may not be as crazy. But who knows, right? West Ham might just lose 4-0 to Leicester. They might be score at home, but they can score away. So who knows what's going to happen for this one. But at least for me, on the onset, I still believe in West Ham and I believe they're going to win. Nothing really much to talk about as well for this one. West Ham just need to climb up the table ASAP as soon as possible. And with Graham Potter, he needs to do a lot better than this for sure. As for Leicester, I mean, they can just, try their best. But I'm quite certain, again, even if they do win this one, it's still going to be very difficult moving ahead. I mean, they can try, but is quite difficult. I think in terms of chances to stay up, I think it's probably Ipswich stands a better chance than them, to be honest. Obviously, Wolves stand the highest chances of now, but if you ask me, I think Ipswich do stand up a better chance than Leicester City. Alright, no, you guys, thank you very, very much for watching. I mean, I hope this video is shorter than the previous one. Otherwise, damn, I mean, I still need to, I guess, lower some of my content. But I hope a lot has been covered. I hope it's been extensive enough for people to understand my thought process behind these predictions. As I said, this week is just rather unpredictable. So sometimes it's a little bit difficult to predict. Some of them are really just random. I guess mainly Man United and Ipswich, that is definitely a random scoreline there just to throw in some fun, I guess. But yeah, drop a like on the video, guys, have enjoyed this one, and of course subscribe if you are new around here, and get discussing in the comments down below how you guys think Gameweek 27 will pan out. Midweek games, to be honest, are always very, very, very fun for a lot of Premier League fans, including myself. So things can go crazy this weekday, I guess. Let's see what happens. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Until then, goodbye.